But typically, as a sommelier, I would only want to use positive adjectives to describe it because I like it.
This is the Drinking Buddy Show, where we explore food, craft, beverage pairings, and the entrepreneurs and tastemakers behind them. I'm Frank, founder of Drinking Buddy Artisan Snacks. Welcome to our first Sips and Snacks episode. I'm sitting down with friend of the show, Greg Beck, to sip on sake and umeshu, snack on some potential pairings, and learn a thing or two. All beverages are in the episode description, so we invite you to pick up ones you might like and join us. All right, so I've got quite the collection over here.
I have quite the collection. Okay.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for being back on the Drinking Buddy Show. Very
Oh my
excited to
God,
have you
it's
again.
so great to be here.
So you've got a new book out. We're really excited to talk about that.
That's right. It's called The Journey, Mastering the Art of Slowing Down into a Beautiful Existence. I didn't write it. It has nothing to do with me, but it's a book and I have it out.
And it's new.
Yeah.
Nice. Very excited for you to read that by Kathy Trin.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Everybody go out and get that book. Don't know what it's about? Sounds great.
Neither do I.
I like that, though. We should do that on every show. Here's the book I didn't write.
I have a new book out.
Yeah. No, literally, it's right out here. All right. So, wanted to bring Greg back on to get his sake expertise. As you're saying, or before we started recording, Greg, we exchanged some different sake, some umeshu, and even a little bit of kombucha. Shout out to Fine Feathers for the kombucha set that I got from them. So we're going to go through them. I also brought a couple of wild cards because I think you've had these ones before, but I got Night Swim.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got Bushido.
One that I am all too familiar with.
Yes, Bushido. Way of the Warrior.
Yeah.
Which makes it Japanese.
Wait, which part of that makes it Japanese?
I'm going to leave that in the air.
When you read it in English or when
Yeah.
you said it in Japanese?
When I said Bushido, and I screamed it. Yeah, and then I just disemboweled myself.
Yeah.
For dishonoring myself. All right, so where do we start, Greg? Where do we start? I'm excited.
Oh my gosh. So normally I would say start with the most elegant, refined Junmai Ginjo, but I'm drinking a dark and stormy because I haven't had a cocktail in a long time, and I just really wanted to have a dark and stormy. But
before we kick off the sake, should I try the umeshu, or do we want to do the umeshu after?
Well, so I think you can see here I have our respective umeshus set up and ready to go.
Yeah,
that's ready whenever you want.
Okay.
That is, I mean, yours is sake based.
Mine is shochu based and sake based. It's a mix.
Oh my God,
I broke the rules.
I don't know that that's a rule because you can make it from either one. I don't know why you couldn't make it from both.
Right. And when I saw our now mutual friend James Jin at Nova Brewing, he's making an umeshu with wine.
That's very interesting.
So it's 14% wine. I was like, well, and he's had it sitting since March and he's not going to open it for yet another 2 months. I was like, okay.
He wants the full year. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we do sake first?
All right.
You gave me the Yoshinogawa Shogun Road from Niigata.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this is completely random. I got that from Sachiko at Tipsy Sake. Shout out tipsysake.com. That's with one I, two P's, sy.com. But no, Yoshinogawa is a great brewery. I believe it's in Niigata, right? Or Miyagi.
No, you were right the first time. Niigata.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Stick with my gut. Yeah, and I used to sell 3 of their sake as kind of an entry-level sake flight when I was a sommelier at Sake Dojo in Little Tokyo in Los Angeles. as a way for people to get a sense of how different sake could be, because I had 3 sake all from the same brewery. One was dry, one was sweet, one was neutral. And, when you pour them in a glass, they look exactly the same. They're clear, like water, visually. But when you smell them, the Ginjo would give you those Ginjo notes of fruit and floral. And the Gensen Karakuchi, which I think is the one that you're having there.
Yes, Yoshinogawa's Gensen Karakuchi.
Yeah, I think the Samurai Road might be an edition that I'm not familiar with, but that's just an English title for you to be able to find it Road. Easier.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, what did I say?
Samurai.
Oh, sorry.
Low level.
Sorry.
No rank.
They work for the Shogun, right?
Exactly.
But
so take me through what these numbers mean. Or actually all these little data points. So I know we talked about this the first time you talked about sake, but that has the Go Hyakuman Goku rice.
That's just the name of the rice variety. And that is a historic reference to when the prefecture first made Go Hyakuman, or 5 million koku, which is a measurement of rice. So that was like a year that they had the most bountiful harvest ever. And that style of rice is one of the top 3 most used after, I think maybe second after Yamada Nishiki, because it's highly favored for its ease of use and ease of raising. Sake rice tends to be harder to raise than table rice that you would eat. And it has great flavor. It's easy to polish and it brews nicely. So that's one of the most widely used sake rice that you will taste.
Nice. And the only other part I'll mention is it is a 65% polish.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that just to make it mysterious. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, don't say anything. Yeah. Should I try this now? Do you want to compai with me? You got something you're going to try? All right.
I honestly have a lot of sake that I need to get through, but I was drinking that the night before I gave it to you. Nice. So I will remember what that tastes like and kampai.
Kampai.
Was that a chaser right there? What was that?
Yeah, that was a chaser. No, I wanted to go all over my tongue. You know how I am. You remember when we were college students. So they were like, what the hell does that mean?
I'm just going to give it so many silence that makes it hilarious.
Yeah.
But
yes.
No, the Gensen Karakuchi, man. What did you think?
I felt like, so definitely it does have that dryness, but how am I going to explain this?
Karakuchi means dry flavor for people.
But it had like a kind of creaminess to it. Mm-hmm. Like it rolled over my tongue and very creamy, nice dry finish. Almost a like, not banana, but kind of a fruity flavor to it.
Yeah, that's difficult to pin down because most people, especially... Oh, you weren't involved in this really cool Islander sake tasting I did, where I talked to this Japanese scientist who is now making sake in Hawaii called Islander sake.
Yeah.
But she talked about the disconnect between a fruity flavor and an alcohol that contains no fruit. Most people, when you taste something fruity, your brain automatically says, oh, well, it's sweet, because most fruit is sweet. So if you smell something or if you taste something fruity that's not sweet, there's this disconnect. And, okonomiyaki sauce is like that. It's definitely fruity. It's a fruit reduction, but it's not just sweet. It's more savory. And umami in sake does the same thing. And that causes this disconnect that as you drink more and you get more of the effects of alcohol in your blood, your brain goes, something's not right here. And it makes you want to stop drinking it. I mean, she was the first person to point that out to me. And it was like, oh, that makes so much sense now. As soon as she said it, it was really thought-provoking. But for me, the fruitiness on this sake that you're trying right now is not that prevalent. To me, the number one thing I remember from tasting that was that it has a shibumi, a kind of... I've been watching a lot of Great British Bake Off lately, and they talk about stodginess. And oh, this bake is stodgy. And what they mean is like it's too dense. But, sometimes you get something that's dense in a good way, And so for me, that has a stodgy, nostalgic thing. Like when you smell an old book and you're just like, and you like that smell, you're like, yeah, that's nice.
Technically, that's mold, but yeah.
That might be what you're picking up on. Not in the sake, but in the book. But when you smell something...
Did I mention I have a new book out?
Oh, show me.
Actually, it's an old book. It smells really good.
Yeah.
No, but I sort of get what you're getting at. There's
I'm not doing a great job. I'm not doing a great job describing it. I'm not even sure I'm happy with this avenue of trying to explain it to somebody. But typically, as a sommelier, if I was working at a place selling that sake, I would only want to use positive adjectives to describe it because I like it. I don't want to put you off from it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it.
Right.
And it's very easy to be misinterpreted. Here on your podcast, I can talk at length and be like, no, hear me out. I love this. Go check it out. And I think that it has this kind of musk to it, although it's not a scent. So when you smell something musky, you might go, oh, I don't like things that smell musky. I don't mean it like that, but I mean like there's a flavor equivalent to musk that does have an appeal, and I want that to be what I'm expressing.
I definitely like it. No doubt. It's and I like Karakuchi in general. So I figured I would like it, but
yeah, that dryness is great for when you're eating anything buttery or savory or oily, and that musky quality to it is great if you are trying to balance out something that has a little too much acidity in like a flavor. A lot of times you'll have like a pasta sauce or something where like the acidity from the tomato sauce is too bright or something like that. You're getting just too much acidity from something, and you just want to kind of balance that out.
I feel like it'd be great with like a blue cheese or something like that.
Yeah, I've actually recently had a lot of cheeses that had just a little too much acidity for my personal preference, and that would be a perfect pairing for that. What's that?
Oh, I was just looking at the Shogun Road again. Because I didn't look at the description before I had it, but now I was just reading dry, clean, crisp with layers of subtle fruit flavors and hints of earth and water. I'm like, yeah, that about sums it up.
You nailed it. You said there was fruit. I said it was subtle.
What a team.
Yeah, so I got the Cowboy Yamahai here, which is, it's such a great label. It's very simple. Here's a cow. It's sake. It's Yamahai. Yamahai is the most recent innovation that you would still apply to the traditional brewing of sake, which is called kimoto. This is great.
So tell me about what's in it.
So this is also Niigata sake rice brewed in Niigata. It says that it's a cocoa, smoke, and woody note sake, but is a Junmai, Ginjo, and Genshu, which means it's undiluted. And because of that, it is almost 17% alcohol. Kanpai.
Dink.
Yeah, I definitely get the woodiness right up front. And it has a sweetness to it. And what the sweetness is telling me at 17% for an undiluted sake, that's telling me that they stopped the fermentation early, because sake can get over 21% if you have enough fermentable sugars and fermentation conditions are ideal. And if you want to hit a certain percentage and still have it undiluted, then you have to stop it. Because if it gets over 21%, you legally in Japan, you can't call it sake anymore. So it's very common for them to stop the fermentation either by adding sulfites or pasteurizing or
conjuring.
Yeah. Sometimes demons.
Pretty standard.
Japan's full of demons.
Really is.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta keep a straight face. You gotta be like, yes.
No, I'm just thinking like how that could be taken out of context, and I don't like it.
Well, I'm totally going to make sound bites and then make you sound like you're total racist.
It doesn't help that I said Japan is full of demons.
Japan is full of demons.
With a southern accent. The Nambu will rise again.
Nambu. It's full of barbarians.
I'm just waiting for Okinawa to declare independence again.
Oh, it'll happen. They'll rise again.
They're going to make a multi-island nation with Hawaii and just completely dominate the Pacific.
Absolutely dominate it with delicious food and drink.
Yeah, and parties. Pineapple showers.
Pineapple showers.
What was I trying to say about this? It's just that...
Cowboys.
No, I was saying Japan has a lot of demons. That was the thing that I didn't like that I said.
And now you said it at least 3 times.
In my head, I think about all of the Japanese Oni folklore that we studied together. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, Japan has a lot of demons and they're so creative and inventive, and they were used to explain things in a time when they didn't have science and it was scary and confusing. Like Kappa explained why so many children drowned in rivers. But yeah, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, it sounds like I'm talking about World War II and I'm getting political.
No, we're much farther back. Fairy tales.
Yeah. Like I was going 2,000 years back.
Yeah, like Peach Boy going to Oni Island and beating them all up with a bird, a monkey, and a dog.
Yeah, like
because that's a team that will
good old fashioned brawling. That's how it should be. Still to this day, you got any beefs? You settle it with a monkey, a bird, and a dog,
and a club. All right.
So back on track. Okay.
Cowboy.
Okay. This is made by Shiokawa. It's called Cowboy Yamahai. It is a pleasantly sweet, I would say semi-sweet, undiluted or cask strength sake. It's a Junmai Ginjo called Cowboy Yamahai. And it is woody and it is funky, but not so much that someone who doesn't like funky things would have a problem with it. Or to say it in a positive way, if you don't like funky things, don't worry about trying this sake. It's not that funky.
Just a little bit of the funk.
It's just a hint.
Yeah.
Like older George Clinton.
I was going to say, it's not young George Clinton at his peak.
It's not Bootsy Collins.
It's not really an atomic dog. It's just like a regular dog.
Yeah. It's singing about how much funk they got going on.
Right.
But that in itself isn't that funky.
Thanks for listening so far. If you enjoy the show, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Then head to www.thedrinkingbuddyshop.com and pick up some tasty pub snacks, barware, and more. Every purchase he makes helps us support small family-owned businesses in rural Japan and bring you more delicious, unique snacks to pair with your favorite beverages. Special thanks to all of you that have already started enjoying our snacks and sharing them with your buddies. Excellent.
All right, what do you got something else? Or are you ready to do
do
Oh, that's right.
The night swim.
Night swim.
So I picked this up at Hilo, shout out. And I'm excited because I haven't had it before. By Tozai. It just says Japanese craft sake, no description whatsoever. Out of our good friends at Kizakura.
Yeah, good for Hilo, by the way, for picking up some sake.
Yeah, they have a few things. They've got this. That's also where I got the next one that'll pull up, the Bushido. And they have our good friends at Soto. So
very good.
Got all my buddies there. And this is 14% and gluten-free, apparently. But yeah, I don't need to say much more about that since I've already covered Kizakura with Mr. Peter Kim already. So, crack this open. Anything to say about sake that comes in a small can versus a bottle?
Yeah, don't drink it from the can. And
I wasn't.
No, I'm only saying that because I am a brewer at a craft beer brewery, and the same thing can be said for craft beer. It's not a law. If you're feeling lazy and you really want to, go for it. But when you drink from a can, the first thing your mouth tastes is metal.
Right.
And yeah. And metal has a flavor. You will always taste it, and it will alter your perception of what you're drinking. If you pour it, all you have to do pour it in a glass, and then pour it in your mouth, and that's gone. There's nothing being carried over from the metal. And in fact, canning is a much better way to preserve the liquid, and it will block out 100% of the oxidizing effects of light. Whereas like a green tint or a brown tint on a bottle will get 80 to 99.9% of it. But if you really want to keep something longer and safer, cans are the way to go. They're also more recyclable than glass. I think it's a higher percentage. So they're more ecologically friendly.
So I was going to say about Tozai, in comparison to the last one that was very dry, this is creamy in a way. Definitely not as dry, but also not fruity, not sweet. Like it's a little sweet, but it's not, to me, not fruity.
Is it Junmai?
It doesn't say what it is. It's a mystery.
Might be Futushu.
Well, I can see why they would want to release this in the US because I think it's a very approachable sake. None of the flavors are particularly strong. Everything's kind of subtle, well balanced. And I'm having it at not room temperature, but a little bit warmed up.
Yeah,
and
like
it's
probably
great.
like 50 degrees or something.
Yeah. And so like if it was sitting on your dinner table while you're at the restaurant, it wouldn't be funky when you had it. All right, take me into your next one.
I got the Umeshu's here ready to go if you are. Let's do it. So, first off, I just want to confirm this is your Umeshu, right?
Yes.
I want to ensure people who are looking at the difference between ours.
Yes, very big visual difference.
Yours is 100% smells like a delicious Umeshu. I have not tasted it yet.
Yeah,
but it smells completely like a delicious Umeshu. It's just very much darker than mine.
Yeah.
And we use the same exact plums.
Right.
Like we bought our plums from the same organic family farm. So
it's
very
all
interesting.
In the sugar. Kampai.
We'll start with mine. Now, how are you drinking it, by the way? Is it just straight up room temperature?
It's chilled.
Oh. I'm drinking it room temp, and I love it. I'm biased, but I love it.
No, I would say yours compared to mine. Like, once you try mine, I think yours is a little.
Are you going to try yours, or should I go ahead?
I already know. So, yeah. Go ahead. I've had it a million times.
This is literally the second time I'm trying mine.
Yeah. We dug in really early.
I had mine. I tried mine on New Year's Day at 12:01 a.m. To celebrate the new year.
I would say yours almost has like pear. Like instead of just
pear flavor?
Like a pear flavor to it. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like pear juice where it's not so syrupy that it's cloying, but it is kind of syrupy.
Yeah. Like if you had choya, the pretty common meishu, that's really syrupy. This is not that at all.
Yeah. I would say choya is exactly what I go for never tasting like.
Yeah. Yeah, choya was my inspiration to make my own.
Yeah. This is the sweetest plum wine I've ever made. And I still like it. But now I'm going to go on to yours.
Give it a try.
And you said you mixed shochu and sake.
So I used Nankai shochu and a little bit of sake, yeah.
Did you use rock sugar or?
I used kokuto.
That's
what gives it the dark color.
That is 100% the color. That explains so much of the scent. Like, yeah, you can smell that brown sugar, that raw brown sugar, and the taste as well. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's good, right?
Yeah, it makes it so much deeper. And yeah, still very sweet without being overpoweringly sweet. And wow, very unique, very different. What kind of sake did you use?
I don't remember now, but I know it was
how dare you?
It was a higher ABV. It was like 17%. And I'd have to ask Andy. Andy's the one that gave it to me. I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big old bottle that he had sitting around that he was never going to use. So I was like, all right, I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, that's totally a great way to do it, by the way. About 3 years ago, I was making my annual batch of umeshu, and I had such a massive container that I filled it with spiced rum, which is what I usually use. And I had like so much space left. I was like, well, I got some vodka here. I just poured the vodka in, and like all of it's going to mix together and melt together. And if you actually age it properly, it'll still come out tasting like plum wine, because that flavor of the ume is so strong.
Right.
That's what ends up being the primary flavor in anything that you age properly.
Well, and it's so funny because I realized, you can call it plum wine, but it's just like rice wine. Like wine has very little to do with what it is, really. It's like a plum infusion traditionally into a white liquor.
Yeah, it is what we would call a spirit, or a liqueur.
Yeah.
Is the technical term. Although this one that I made, a liqueur is a spirit that you've infused with something, or that you use the distillant or distilled alcohol to leach the flavor out of something else. And that's how you get a liqueur. Whereas this one is using only sake, which is not distilled at all. It's just brewed.
Right.
I use the Kurosawa Kimoto Junmai, which is a very classic, well-known, well-liked dry sake to kind of balance out the sweetness.
I'm going to try yours with a little Ryu Senbei.
Oh, yes. Good call. I'm jealous that I already ate all of mine that you gave me.
Free local delivery, buddy. Anytime.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I could have. Yeah, I always forget that I have that access.
You do. Unlike so many of the combinations I've tried, like nigori and things like that, that kind of take down the spiciness, I feel like this almost kicks it up a notch.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's the first time I've had an umeshu where you had something that wasn't the plum flavor. Because like you said, the plum's going to take over everything, that ume. But to have that dimension of the pear is awesome.
Oh, but that is absolutely these plums. That's what's giving you that flavor.
Yeah. Nicholas Family Farms, definitely going back.
Yeah.
No.
I texted her, Penny from Nicholas Family Farms, that makes these organic Japanese plums. I was like, oh, it's so great. You know, I just want to like tag you on Instagram, and totally like looking forward to buying more from you. And she was super cool and nice and gave me all the info I needed to tag her on Instagram and everything. But like just that closing line where it's just like, oh man, I can't wait to get more from you this year. Really looking forward to it. She was like, okay.
Great.
It's like, all right. Like,
really excited.
I know you're good, but like
yeah, you're really gonna blow us up. Yeah, thanks a lot, Greg.
Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, thanks to you, we'll sell 2 more pounds.
Yeah. It's not because they're delicious. It's because of you. Thanks.
Okay.
Remind me of one of my favorite jokes is my good buddy Chris, still in Hiroshima to this day.
Goldenhoff?
Yeah, Goldenhoff. So we used to have this running
shout
joke. Shout out to Chris Goldenhoff. You better watch this on YouTube. Officer. So we used to do this thing where you'd look at each other and be like, hey man, it's a nice necktie you got there. And he'd look at me. Yeah, that's why I bought it. Just feel like the asshole that can't take any compliments. And these ume are just delicious. That's why I grow them. Thanks for playing, Greg. But tag me on Instagram.
Yeah. Did you think I was selling shit?
Yeah. Do you think I just sell?
It's so hard. It's so hard for me to like straight face something like that.
Well, I was always the one that did the phone pranks back in college.
Landlines. You have,
because I can do the straight face.
But it's funny that you're born and bred in Southern California, but you have an uncanny, or rather, despite being born in Southern California, you have a very clear ability to not end your sentences with an upturn.
With a rising intonation?
Yeah. You're like,
yeah, because that kills
I'm from
me?
California.
Yeah, that makes me want to die on the inside. All right.
Good stuff.
Umeshu was good. What's next?
Oh my god, I'm still working on Umeshu. Please slow me down.
Just finish that.
Oh, by the way, the entire can?
No. I put the can back. I'm not a barbarian. You got plenty more sake to get through first. I'll be doing that later when I drink by myself like a man.
While I cry and drink like a man. No, I'm enjoying this.
Well, then I will go and move on to our next can.
Kokuto, though, man.
Right?
Wow.
I want to make that a thing.
Did you?
Nankai Shochu, Kokuto, pick a sake that goes with it. I think it's a home run.
Did you use the same amount that it would normally state on the sheet that comes with like an Umeshu jar?
The amount of sugar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay. I would cut that in half. Or with the sake that you use, I would go super dry. Or with the Nankai, I would use like the gold instead of the regular or something.
True.
Like
yeah, I did want to try it with the gold. Well, I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get another whole kit and make a couple variations of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would work too. But I would definitely try using a much stronger Nankai, like the Nankai Gold.
Right.
For that alcohol to balance the sweetness. And I would also try either the same exact recipe with cutting the amount of kokuto or brown sugar in half, or using a much drier sake, or those are it.
I think I pick up what you're.
You got the point. You got the point.
More alcohol, less sweetness.
It's just, I'm drinking this at room temperature, by the way.
Yeah, that's how I drink it.
It's still great. So I don't mean to detract from what you've done. It's great. I hate it. You're a failure.
I hate it, and I hate you.
You would have done better if you cared. Can't keep a straight face. But no, I love it. It's very drinkable, even at room temperature with no ice, nothing else. So I know that the way most people drink Umeshu, which is on the rocks or with some hot water, this would be
my
actually
wife
even
is a big
better.
Mizuwari. So.
Yeah. But she doesn't Oyuwari, or is it just room
straight Mizuwari.
I think this, especially because you're using the brown sugar, would be so good with Oyuwari. It would be basically like a hot toddy, but like a Japanese hot toddy. Or more like a amami. It'd be an amami toddy.
Amami toddy.
I like that.
All right. Give
Copyright
that one to Paul.
2021.
Yeah. Paul and Maya, you're listening?
Amami toddy.
Thanks so much to Greg Beck. Find out more about Greg by checking the links in our episode description. We have more Taste of Japan events coming soon. Make sure you're on our mailing list so you get the link to pre-order. In the next episode of The Drinking Buddy Show, we'll be exploring a new technology trend that's taking over tap rooms across the U.S. Thanks for listening to The Drinking Buddy Show. Be sure to subscribe and share it with your buddies. Check out our latest artisanal snack offerings at www.thedrinkingbuddyshop.com. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Take care and drink well.